Hello again and welcome to another Mordy and Glory Warhammer 40k video. In today's episode, we shall once again be doing Games Workshop's job for them. That's right, it's time for another episode of Let's Fix the Rules, and we're going to be focusing on an iconic guard unit which just hasn't felt right since the beginning of 10th edition. Guys, let's talk tank commanders. And so, without further ado, let's mount up, roll out, and drive right into today's episode. You there, Guardsman! Did you know that the Mordy and Glory channel is now officially sponsored by Sharp?
No, sir.
By God, Sharp!
That's right! HarperCollins, the publisher of the Sharp books, has partnered with the Emperor's True Finest as part of the release of the latest tale in the Sharp series, Sharp's Command.
To be commanded by the newly gazetted Captain Gibbons.
To be commanded by the newly gazetted Captain Sharp.
In this brand new novel from Bernard Cornwell, Major Sharp is outnumbered, outgunned with enemies on all sides. Can he and his men save the day? Well, there's only one way for you to find out. Click on the affiliate link down below, get yourself a copy of Sharp's Command, and support the channel today.
That's soldiering.
Now, let us begin at the beginning and have a quick refresh of what the hell tank commanders are. Essentially, it is an officer inside a Leman Russ tank. So you get the defensive profile of a Leman Russ with movement 10, toughness 11, a 2+ save, 13 wounds, leadership 7, and objective control 3, whilst also having access to orders. Now, what is semi-unique about the tank commander is they can only issue orders to squadron units. So you cannot have a tank commander give an order to a bunch of infantry. Apparently they just won't listen to him, but your tank commander can issue the other vehicles around him. Now, the vast majority of vehicles in the guard motor pool do have the squadron keyword, but not all of them. And there are two key examples which really show the cracks in this unit. The first one is Baneblades and other guard super heavies. They don't have the squadron keyword. So the tank commander, the guy who's literally meant to be in charge of your guard armored forces, cannot even order your main big bad tank. You know, the coolest tank that you're probably going to field in your army. Now, you might want to justify this by saying that the Baneblade is clearly a bigger tank than the Leman Russ, and Baneblades are honourable, venerable units that wouldn't take orders from a low-down Russ commander. But then what about the Rogal Dawn? That's a bigger tank, that's clearly higher in the pecking order. Why can that receive orders and the Baneblade can't? And even if we take your argument at face value, why can't we get tank commanders in Baneblades? If the most accomplished tank officers in the guard are promoted up to commanding the finest war machines, the largest tanks that we have, why can't we get a Baneblade commander? It just doesn't work, and at the end of the day, if the tank commander can't order tanks, it's just not working right. It's just broken. And this becomes especially acute. This becomes really obvious that something isn't right when you realize that the tank commander himself does not have the squadron keyword. So the guy in charge of the tank commander Russ, he can tell another Leman Russ what to do, but the moment he tries to tell his own crew, oh, make sure you take aim, lads, make sure you drive a bit faster, they go, no, sod off, we're not listening to you, you're not in charge. But I'm a tank commander. No, you go and command those other people. You don't command us. We never agreed to that. It's really weird. If the tank commander was going to boss anyone around, it would be his own crew. But again, it doesn't work like that. And again, it just feels wrong. And there are some immediate and obvious knock-on side effects of these janky tank commander orders. Firstly, you have the fact that a lot of people aren't even taking tank commanders to command tanks. They're taking them so that they can use the death befitting an officer special rule. This is the unique datasheet ability of the TC, and essentially how it works is when the commander dies, you roll a 2+, and rather than removing the model, you get to fire it off at full capability one last time before it then dies. Now, don't get me wrong, it's a cool ability, but it doesn't feel like it should be on a tank commander. What does this have to do with commanding tanks? This feels like an ability that should be on a bruiser tank, something like a demolisher or an eradicator, getting up close and personal, getting into the thick of it, and if you destroy it, it's going to hit you back even harder. But for some reason, it's on a tank commander. Oh, side note, by the way, death fitting an officer, really annoying rule. It doesn't work in close combat. If you die in melee, you can't shoot back. Don't believe me? Check the rules commentary and the section referring to out of phase rules, because just because the ability says you get to shoot as if it's your shooting phase doesn't mean you're actually in your shooting phase, and therefore you can't use big guns never tire. I'm not going to get sucked into a giant rant about the rules commentary and how annoying it is as a document. That video is going to come later. For now, let's refocus back on the TC. You could argue that people can include units in their army for whatever reason they want, and if they want to use them to do damage back at the enemy, more power to them. And you know what? You're probably right there. The big issue I actually have with tank commanders is that it creates this weird artificial scarcity of orders for your tank units. Most people aren't taking tank commanders in their armies because they're an inefficient way of getting orders into your list. You've got to buy a Leman Russ to order another Leman Russ. So what you find is people are just going for the Lord Solar. The Lord Solar can do 3 orders, and he can do them to any units, including Baneblades. It doesn't matter if you're a squadron or regiment, as long as you're an Astra Militarum unit, the Lord Solar can boss you around. But because the Lord Solar can only do 3 orders, you start artificially limiting your own army. You want to include 4, 5, 6 tanks in there, go for a cool mechanized force. What's the point when you can only order 3 of them? And you don't want to include vehicles that you can't order by and large, because hitting on ballistic skill 4+ is pretty bad. And bear in mind, the tank commander also hits on a 4+. Now, there are loads of other issues that come out of this, but we've been talking for several minutes now, and we've not got to how to fix tank commanders. So I'm acutely aware that some of you are looking at your watches. So let's bring this back round to the main topic of the day. How can we fix tank commanders? How can we solve the order scarcity and make tank commanders feel right? Well, the most obvious solution would be to give tank commanders 2 orders. That way you can have a tank commander and a pair of other Leman Russes, and you could have a little armored platoon, and both of those Leman Russes could receive orders. The problem with that solution is twofold. Firstly, it doesn't solve the issue of tank commanders being able to order themselves. And secondly, you end up encroaching on the territory, on the jurisdiction of some senior officers. Why can this no-named tank commander do as many orders as the tactical genius of the guard, Freed? Why can this no-name tank commander be as charismatic and inspirational as Colonel Ironhand Strachan? Maybe I'm overthinking it, but if we start adding orders onto tank commanders, we might end up snowballing and start having extra orders on Cadian Castellans, Death Corps Marshals, Creed goes up to 3 orders, Strachan goes up to 3 orders. It could get a little bit out of hand. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. Having more orders in the guard would give us a bit of a boost, would allow us to hand more buffs out. But I suspect that's something that Games Workshop doesn't want to do. Just let guard have as many orders as they want all of the time. Managing your orders is meant to be an aspect of commanding the guard. Another solution that we kind of touched upon earlier would be to give the tank commanders the squadron keyword. That way, at the very least, tank commanders could order themselves if they wanted to, but if they needed to order another unit out there, they could do that. This, I think, is pretty good, but the problem is that it doesn't solve one of the big issues, which is order scarcity. It's not necessarily about tank commanders being able to receive orders, although it does feel like something that they should be able to do more easily. It's about the fact that even if you take 3 tank commanders and spend over 600 points, The most orders you can get from these guys is 3, maybe 4 if you include Grand Strategists, which isn't a huge amount. And if they've got Squadron themselves and they've only got 1 order, you're just going to have tank commanders ordering themselves. And then we start going back to some of the issues like 8th and 9th edition, where no matter what GW did, people just took tank commanders because they could get the better ballistic skill, they could just order themselves what to do, and you just had whole armies of tank commanders going around. No, I don't think just slapping Squadron on there fixes it. I think we've been there in the past and we've seen that's made things not feel right themselves, where we've only seen tank commanders. And I think just letting tank commanders do 2 orders also raises its own questions and could potentially snowball. How I think you fix this, how I think you get more orders into your army, whilst at the same time getting orders for your tank commanders, is you change their datasheet ability. I don't know what name you come up for it. Maybe you just call it Command Tank. Something simple, straightforward, does what says in the tin at the end of the day. But what this ability should do is when your tank commander issues an order to a squadron unit, that same order affects the tank commander. So for example, if you have a tank commander and a Leman Russ battle tank, when your tank commander orders take aim onto the Leman Russ, your tank commander also gets the benefit of take aim. And I think it would make sense to say that for any reason, if the tank commander can do 2 orders, once he has issued his orders that phase, he gets to pick which order affects tank commander. So for example, if you have a tank commander with Grand Strategist and you do take aim on one vehicle and move on another vehicle, once you've done both of those orders, you then get to decide which one is going to affect your tank commander. I think this would be a good balancing mechanic, allowing you to not suddenly stack up double orders on your TC, and also avoid having to mess around with having to do orders in a specific order to make sure that your tank commander gets the one that he wants. He just orders all of the orders, and then out of the ones he's done, he gets to pick one that affects him. I personally feel like this is a more elegant solution to this problem than just slapping keywords and extra orders onto guard units. I feel like it makes tank commanders feel right. It makes them feel like they are commanding units, whilst at the same time getting rid of all of the weirdness where tank commanders can't benefit from any orders themselves. I would go a step further though and add the squadron keyword to tank commanders, and I'd probably add it to Baneblades as well. I think we need an extra way of ordering Baneblades around rather than the Lord Solar being in every goddamn list. And I think giving Squadron to the tank commanders allows them to benefit from the newborn soldiers, because it feels weird that they don't. And it also means if there are no Leman Russes around for them to order, they can always at least order themselves. Because again, it would feel kind of weird if the tank commander's own crew were like, boss, what do we do? And he says, I'm sorry, I can't talk to you. I need to talk to another Leman Russ first before I can talk to you. That would start introducing its own weirdness to it. But of course, all of this is just like my opinion, man. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below. Do you think that this solution has merit, or is there something obvious that I might have missed about this whole thing? And do you have your own solutions for how you would fix tank commanders? If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to smash that like button and also subscribe to never miss an episode. Would you like to know more? If so, then please consider becoming a channel member or patron. By supporting the channel, not only will you be doing your part, but you'll also be helping me create more content for your viewing pleasure and unlocking a whole host of perks. You get everything from a badge next to your name, custom emojis, but the big one is access to the Mordian Glory Discord server, an online community with almost 2,500 active members. It's always popping off in the MG Discord. We've got channels for army lists, hobbying, tactics, stories, and even a pretty spicy meme section as well.
For all you greenhorns that wanted to see the Mordian glory hole, today is your lucky day.
And joking aside, I do want to say a massive thank you to all of the current channel members and Patreons. You guys are amazing. Truly the lifeblood of the channel. I could not do Mordian Glory full time without the incredible and generous support of my members. So thank you guys so much. And last but certainly not least, I want to say a personal thank you to all of my top tier Patreons. These are the War Masters, the people who have truly gone above and beyond the call of duty. So a heartfelt thank you to Alex Dengal, Bon Vert, Lord Pryor, Mark Panconi, RJ Scorpion, Swordfish Trombone, Try Again Bragg, John Stubbs, Nick Walsh, Diesel Fox, and August Barney. Seriously guys, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Your support is incredible and it makes a huge difference. Thank you so much. That's all for now. Hope you've all enjoyed today's video, and of course, as always, see you guys next time.